Hi, welcome. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications. And today we are interviewing the West Bloomfield School District Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations named Jamie Stottlemyer. How are you doing today?
Good, Max. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. What is your schedule like when at work?
It's very, very busy. I mean, essentially, I handle everything non-instructional related as far as like busing, food service, maintenance, custodial, construction. We have department leads in all those areas, but I'm ultimately responsible for everything. So it's really a 24/7 operation. As you know, I mean, during the day, we're a bit busy enough with busing and food service and all that, but at night, our custodial and maintenance staffs are working in the buildings, getting them ready for the next day. And then we may have alarm calls at night. So I'm on call all the time. It's an exciting job.
Do you ever have anxiety while or before you are making a decision?
No, I don't really have anxiety. Over the years, I've been doing this for a long time. I'm pretty comfortable making these types of decisions for my position.
How do you deal with your anxiety, if you have any, or stress of your job?
When I got out of college years ago, I was in construction and it was a really stressful career. So when I got into schools, it's a lot less stressful. So it's all relative. And then at night, I go and I work out to relieve some stress, to keep my stress levels under control.
What's your favorite equipment to use?
Well, okay. Well, at the gym, I like doing bench pressing and I like doing deadlifts and I like doing preacher curls. At work, it's my laptop, it's my lifeline. I use it for everything because one of the things that I like to do when I get into a district is I like to automate everything. As an example, our building HVAC controls systems like the heating and cooling are computer controlled. So I like to be able to have access to all of that so that we can maximize our efficiency and things of that nature. That is done on my computer, on my laptop.
What is your advice for others dealing with anxiety or stress?
To realize that there's always tomorrow, that you just take life one step at a time, one issue at a time. There's never anything that's too hard to overcome. You just got to tackle it as they come and rely on others around you for support and bouncing ideas off of and bouncing concerns off of and just keep that line of communication open. I think is really helpful. It's always good anytime you're facing any issues in life is to be able to talk through with someone else, that a peer or a friend that can work through the issue with you.
What is the easiest thing about your job?
The easiest thing about my job, I think, is just the satisfaction of knowing that we're really helping support the educational process and all. We've got a lot of people working behind the scenes really hard to make sure that the educational process is easy, and that we have a great learning environment. And I think that that's the easiest thing, is just knowing that we're making, we're doing what we can to help improve the schools.
Who is in your cabinet or team that you
Who
work
is in my
with on a daily basis?
Well, we have Ted Stinson. He's our director of operations. We have Ann Stevens. She's our director of food service. We have Jake Sutton. He's our director of transportation. So we have people in every corner of the district in different aspects and different jobs, that basically oversee their portion of it. So, and they're all excellent at what they do. They've all been here quite a while. So that's why it runs so smoothly.
What's the hardest thing to make a decision on?
I think the hardest thing is if you look at any school building, typically buildings are around for at least 50 years. School buildings are. So, like right now, we're getting ready to do that bond vote on May 2nd. So, I think the most difficult thing is to think about every decision that you're making is going to be around for 50 years. So, you have to really say, am I looking at the at what's best for students now, and am I looking at what's best for students 50 years from now? So it's making those decisions knowing that they're permanent and they're going to be around for a long time, whatever you decide.
Now let's dive into the bond a little deeper. What's the bond cover?
This bond is a 3 series bond, which means they're going to sell the bonds in 2023 and 2026. So it's sold over 3 series, and then each series generates a pool of money. And so this bond in particular is right now slated to replace Chico and Doherty in their entirety, to build a new STEAM space at the high school, to do some renovations at the high school athletic complex. We're going to be doing some work over at Abbott, creating some space for central administration. So there's a lot of components. We have an art room addition over at Scotch. There's a lot to it. So if anybody wants more information, go to the website because it's all on there.
It's wbsd.org/bond2023.
Mm-hmm.
What
And
is
I apologize, my throat's getting scratchy.
what are you most excited for in this bond?
I think it's just well, I mean, look at your middle school. It's amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
That and working through other buildings like Chico and Doherty are going to be amazing when they're done. I think it's just being able to provide that to the staff, the students, and the community.
What is the order that the operations are going to get done for the building if the bond passes?
Well, we're going to have to study that with our architect and our construction management team, because obviously, typically when they build a new building, like as an example, the middle school, everybody vacated during the pandemic and they were able to knock down the old building and build the new one. But we have to look at, like, for instance, Chico, there might be enough space behind the building to build it successfully while the kids stay in that current building. But we might have to look at moving the students out to be able to build the new building. So we're going to have to look through at all those logistics to see what will work.
So none of that has been decided yet.
We have a tentative game plan, but we're going to have to dive a little deeper into that.
Can you share the tentative plan, or is that too much information to leak at this time?
Well, that's too much information to talk about in a 30-minute interview. We can have a separate interview on that once the bond passes. We'll have that discussion.
Is there anything blueprints that have been made for the bond yet?
No, the architect has worked on a treasury application. So in order to be able to go out for a bond, you have to go to the Michigan Treasury and you have to propose your plan to them and they have to approve it. So the architect has to take our enrollment projections for the district. They have to take all of the current building layouts. They have to do some conceptual sketches of what the district will look like after the construction is complete. And they send that entire package over to Treasury, and then they meet with Treasury to get that approved. So Treasury's already approved that. So we do have some very conceptual sketches of what things may look like. But typically, that's just to get the ball rolling with the bond. And then once the bond passes, we bring teams together to collaborate on what the final designs will look like. So what they do is they'll start with, like, as an example, Chico is supposed to be designed first. They'll do what they call a schematic design, where they do very basic designs. They'll put an estimate to that to see if it falls within budget. If it does, then they'll move on to design development. And then finally, they'll do the construction documents, which we put out to bid.
Is AUK going to be the construction contracts through this time?
Correct. The board previously had approved AUK as our construction manager, and TMP is going to be our architect.
Your hardest part of your job is?
I think the hardest part is just making decisions that impact people, because everybody has their own circumstances in their lives, and it's hard to, like, as an example, and this is not specific, but if you give an employee praise or you promote someone, then other people around them might get upset and say, well, why not me? Why didn't I get a raise, or why didn't I get a promotion? Or if you have to unfortunately discipline a person, or then they'll say, why are you doing this to me? I have all these issues going on at home. So it's just knowing that each person is an individual that's got individual issues that surrounding their lives and stuff, and trying to incorporate that into the into our interactions with them, I think, is the toughest part.
What is your favorite thing about your job?
Well, I've been blessed because I've always loved my job. I went to school for civil and environmental engineering, and then I went into construction for probably 10, 12 years before I got into schools. So I was building schools before I got into schools, working for them. And I think it's just, I just love construction. And I mean, that's a big part of my job is just building buildings and taking care of buildings and making sure that it's a great learning environment for the students. And I think that's my favorite part of my job.
What is your least favorite thing about your job?
I don't really have a least favorite. I mean, I honestly, I really like coming into work every day. There's not one thing that sticks out that like, ugh. I mean, maybe it's, I have to do some financial reports and stuff that maybe are a little drab, but other than that, it's a good job.
What time do you arrive at central office to start, and when do you leave for your day?
I arrive at 7 a.m. sharp every day, and I leave usually around 5:30. But then it's my day's not done because sometimes I'll answer email at home, and they always talk about a work-life balance. I mean, that's I think what a lot of people have to work out. And then there's a lot of times where I'll come in on a Saturday to check on the buildings, or we'll have to do some assessments or something. So it's not a terrible amount of extra work, but there is extra work just beyond the normal workday.
Who is your favorite person to work with?
Who is my favorite person? Well, I enjoy working for the superintendent because we're here to help support her vision, and then works for the board, so we're all working as a team to kind of go collaboratively together for the vision of the district. So it's supporting that vision is really is a great thing.
What is your career history or superintendent history?
Well, you mean my career history? Well, when I got out of school, like I said, I went into construction, and I started off as a project engineer. So I was out in the field building buildings where I had to actually do like the surveying and layout of the buildings. And then I had to manage all of the crews that were pouring concrete and stuff. So it was a lot of the civil engineering things that I learned at school, I was implementing out in the field. And then as time went on, I got promoted to like a project engineer and then a field superintendent. So I was actually running the entire jobs. And then I became a project manager where I was managing all the contracts and all the work. And then I worked my way up to like a senior project manager. And so I was actually overseeing multiple school districts. The bonds, like for instance, we have our $148 million bond. I was managing two school districts bonds simultaneously. And that's when I was asked to come work for one of those school districts. And that's what started my school career. So I started in 2005 in schools as a facility and operations director. And part of that was doing transportation also.
And you just started your role as assistant superintendent of facilities and operations in the West Bloomfield School District. Where were you before that?
I worked as assistant superintendent at Ferndale Schools. But I must say you were pretty quick to the draw. I've only been here a month and a half, and you got on me to get an interview in. So I respect that.
What do you have in plans to make West Bloomfield School District better?
I think the thing to make it better is it's already a great district. To make it better is just understanding the best practices out there. Like as an example, when we get ready to build this new Chico and Doherty Elementary School, we're going to tour the new elementary schools from all around the state and collect all of the best practices so that we make sure that we can build the best possible building that we can, and using all of the good aspects from all around the state, all around the country, and using the help from our experts and stuff, just to ensure that it's as perfect as it can be.
What do you do for fun?
I'm an outdoorsy person, so I like bike riding. I live right across from Independence Oaks, so my wife and I go out biking 10 miles a night when we can, when it's warm out. I do kayaking. I love the beach. We go to Grand Haven a lot in the summertime.
Do you have any kids?
I have 3 children, 25, 24, and 22. So my 2 oldest are already out of college and have real jobs in the real world, and my daughter just graduated from Grand Valley.
What makes you smile outside of school?
I think it's just family and friends and laughing. I like to laugh and have fun with family. We sit around the bonfire and tell jokes and stuff, and that makes me smile.
What are you currently working on with
Well, something that might interest you is I put out a bid package for a Torchmate 4800 CNC plasma cutter that's going to be going into the high school next year so that you can cut out parts for your robots.
Nice. I'm excited. Thanks
It'll
for
cut,
working
it'll,
on that.
it'll cut up to 3/4 inch thick steel plate.
Thanks for working on that.
Yeah, so that's one of the components of my job. So in order to meet our board policy for purchasing, we have to, like, for instance, anything over $10,000, we have to get a minimum of 3 quotes. Well, anything over 28,048, so $28,048 is the current state threshold for bids. We have to put them, anything that costs more than that, out to public bid. So I use a site called Sigma VSS, and I'll actually develop the bid package for, like, as an example, like that plasma cutter, and then we'll load it up on that site, and it allows contractors or suppliers from around the state and around the country to submit pricing to us so we can comply with our board policy. So as an example, that plasma cutter was pretty expensive. I think it was like 38,000. I'll present that at the board meeting for formal approval, and then we'll get that ordered for the high school. But that will go into the new STEAM lab that's planned in the bond. It's a big machine. It's pretty cool too. It's got an educational package, so it's got graphics. It's all through AutoCAD, and every student gets a full download of all the AutoCAD in order to run that machine to be able to cut the different parts. I'm expecting you to do great things with it, Max, okay?
Yes. What is your education?
So I have a degree. I have a degree from University of Michigan in civil and environmental engineering. So that is my formal degree. But then when I got out and I got into schools, I continued my training through Michigan School Business Officials. They have certification tracks, and what it is it takes you 3 years to get each track. So I'm the only one in the state that has 3 certification tracks that I've completed. So it took me 9 years to get them, but I'm a certified operations director, a certified facilities director, and a certified transportation director. And then from now, you have to renew those every 5 years. So I have to get 270 credit hours of class every 5 years to renew those.
Before you came to West Bloomfield School District, where were you the assistant superintendent at?
I was at Ferndale Schools.
For your hobbies?
What are my hobbies?
Yes.
Well, believe it or not, I love construction, and that's what I do for my hobby. I have a lot of tools, and I fix things when I'm bored and when I need things to do. I repair everything. My family always says there's nothing I can't fix, and I pride myself on that. And if I can't fix it, I watch YouTube and I learn how to fix it, and then I fix it.
What is your favorite thing to do on the weekends?
Well, I think we talked about a little bit of that. It's just outdoorsy things. It's hanging out with family. It's I like to do little mini vacations in Michigan. I love Michigan. I go up to the UP all the time. And it's just, little staycations here in the state.
Well, I would like to thank you for joining. I would also like to thank Miss Lisa Graff for helping coordinate and compose the email. And I cannot wait to see what happens with the bond. If you would like to look up more info, you can go to wbsd.org/bond 2023.
I think when the bond, hopefully the bond will pass, but I think you and I need to sit down and do an interview with our architect and CM teams when we have some drawings and we can go through everything so everybody understands how complicated and exciting it is to do that.
Yes, I'd be happy to help with that.
All right. Sounds good.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day.
You too, Max. Take care. See you later. Bye, everybody. Thanks.